everybody. Welcome to Improv FAQ at Length. This is a series of longer conversations about improv topics that have lots of questions surrounding them. And we're very excited to be joined by our good friend, Isaac Kessler.
Hey! Yay! All right.
Yay!
Man, I'll tell you, things were going pretty wild for me. You can see outside, but right now they're feeling pretty magical. All right. Everything's great in my place, man. Oh, living the dream, I'll tell you. It's all rainbows and gold. All rainbows and gold in my world, man.
I'm so glad.
What's up?
Yeah.
What is up? Dude, I'm so glad that we're able to talk with you. So you're a good friend of ours that we initially met through the Detroit Improv Festival. You're originally from Toronto and moved out to LA a while back. And I also want to tell you up front that so far we've done 15 episodes of this. And you and Ken and Two Man No Show have come up several times in our conversations about playing styles and about just parts of the conversation that we're really interested in. So I'm excited to talk to you about the topic of this conversation, which is generally going to be clown influence and clown and improv infusion, which is kind of getting the title Clownprov. And then specifically just your style and Two Man No Show and whatever else. We'll cover as much ground as we
The
can.
floor is yours, sir.
Yeah.
You got to be careful right now. I like to talk, so you got to let me know how much I can talk and how far back I have to go to answer this question.
Unlimited. We got unlimited. We got unlimited minutes.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
I ain't going nowhere, bud. And plus, it's something we've had small conversations about this, but we never had I've never heard the full story. So I'm.
Would you want the full emotional story? Or do you want just I took classes on this year and then I did this?
I want your emotional arc.
The emotional arc. The emotional arc.
When did things start to click? You know, where you start and when did they start to click?
When did it start? When did it start to click? Okay, it's 2020. I started improv in 2005, September 2005. I'm gonna see if I can really just I do always like to put the emotional part of it in a little bit. So when I was in school, elementary school, I am from Toronto, Canada. So it's grade 7, not 7th grade. You primitives over there. You and your inches. Get out of here. Come on. I love inches. Big fan of inches. Hate miles. Big fan of inches, though. We'll say. So yeah, when I was a wee lad, I was just a wee lad over there. I'll tell you.
I think more than the details and the emotional arc, I want as much preface as possible.
You want preface?
Yeah. If we never even begin your journey,
give me
all
preamble.
preface.
You want the preamble? I'm gonna give you the preamble.
But so grade 7, what happens for you? What's the beginning in grade 7?
Grade 7, really, terrible. I was bullied. Very unfortunate. Really had and I got bullied in grade 7, and then as did we all. Sob story.
Right.
But I had when I left grade 8, I had no friends. I literally had 0 friends. Grade 9, I had 0 friends. And when then I'm in high school, grade 9, grade 10 started making these 2 guys, and they loved computers. They got me into computers. Became my best friends. And then my mom had always said that I would open up like a butterfly and spread my wings and all that. And when I was getting bullied in grade 7, and then I don't know, something just happened in grade 10, 11, 12. It was I became much more open, outgoing, and social, and discovering a comedic side, making people laugh and writing stuff on these bulk email things that I would send out. And I would start doing parties at my house twice a year for Hanukkah. I'm Jewish. That's okay for your view. I'm not sure what your fans are, but anyway. So I had these parties, and they get bigger and bigger. No alcohol, just you bring people together and have a good time. And I do this big preface because I knew a lot of people, super social, went to York University in Toronto, and met a lot of people, like didn't go to class. And something that does tie into all this is that I did apply for two things at university. I applied for IT, information technology, because that's what my buddies were doing. And I applied to kinesiology, because if there's one thing I love, it's sports. It's sports and playing sports. And a big part, I think, of my background is that in high school, a Jewish private high school, I want to say auditioned. That's not right. It's tried out for 16 sport teams over 4
Oh, shit.
years. And I got rejected from every single one. I never made one sport team.
Oh, no.
And I went out for basketball 6 times in 4 years, twice a year for grade 10, 11, 12. 10 and 11. And, it's interesting because I've been thinking about it a lot lately, especially in quarantine. But there's just a lot of rejection, but a lot of getting back up and doing it again. And this fascination in the body and sports and performance. And when I was in grade 11 in this Jewish school, they had the Jewish vocational services come in, which is where they take you out your free day and you do these workshops and stuff to figure out what you're going to do in university. And you had this like meditation moment where you dream and have an imagination. And I dreamt that I was on a football field under the lights playing in front of a huge crowd. And then when I had my one-on-one with the two people who were running it, they said, okay, so in that meditation, like dream moment, what was your dream? And I said, well, I was at a football field under the lights and I was playing in front of a huge crowd. Everyone was cheering. And they said, okay, is there a more realistic dream? How can a dream
encouragement.
Yeah, they're like, well, I like computers. They're like, well, computers would be good for you if you sign up for this. And
yeah,
I'm like, okay,
dream smaller, kid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
So I ended up applying for IT and kinesiology, and I did IT to be with my friends. And in my first year of university, got academic warning because I really hate computers, and they wouldn't let me go into kinesiology. Now, I'm just going to park that because that part is, I'll come back to that pretty soon. So when I'm in university, I'm not going to class. I'm meeting a lot of people. I'm like the sports chairperson of the Jewish Student Federation of Hillel, and I'm doing all the I'm social chairperson in my final year of university. Never graduated. So stay in school, everybody. Very important. And so it was in my final year that my brother got me a birthday present. He said, here's a second city class. Because people at the Hillel would say, you do comedy? Like, you just stand up? Because you're really funny. And I would just talk to people and just keep going. And I'd never done a performance. Like, I've never done an improv class before. I had never really done theater either. What I had done in university, because my Jewish school had terrible arts program, actually like 0 arts. So I never had arts really growing up. And when I was in university, I discovered music, but not the music you would think of like piano, but I discovered drumming. And I'd always loved drumming and percussion. And when I was in grade 9 first year university, there was this dude from Africa wearing like traditional African garb, carrying 4 or 5 djembes at one time, big goblet, wooden African drums. And I stopped him. I said, hey man, are those djembes? And he goes, yeah, these are djembes. I go, oh my God, I've always loved to learn djembe. And he goes, yeah, you must sign up for my class next year. I teach West African drumming. And I said, I will, I'll do it. My name's Isaac, by the way. He goes, my name is also Isaac.
Wow.
Like, oh my God, dude. Isaac Akrong was his name. And he taught music from Ghana in West Africa. I signed up for West African drumming for my second university, but I got Anna Melnikoff, a Canadian lady who taught Ghanaian, not Malenke, it's called, from Mali, not Ghana. So I got like a different West African, but blessedly, right where I needed to be, because that really put me on an interesting journey, which does tie into everything for me. That for the next 3 years university, I did West African drumming 3 years in a row. I did Afro-Brazilian samba 2 years in a row. And then I got into South Indian drumming. I did private, this bothered me. I did Latin percussion. I learned the doumbek, which is the Arabic drum, the congas. And within all these certain classes, like West African and the samba one, it's all performative. And a lot of the students weren't. They would just sit there and like try to get the rhythms. And I would just go at it. And I would just be up moving my body to the music. And just, we'd come up with funny, like, bits to do while we were drumming. It does really tie in, because then in that final year, I went to Second City. And I never really gone downtown by myself. So it's a big thing for me. So 2005, took my first Second City class. Fell in love. The moment I got in there, there was this beautiful energy of just protection and sharing and laughter. And it felt so safe. And I remembered everybody's name, and they remember my name, and everybody cared about each other. And I thought, well, this is insane how this is the way I want to live. And this is what's required 3 hours a week. So fell in love with it. When you have those, I know we've all been with people, teams, or classes that just have the greatest group mind on earth. And at the time, I didn't know what group mind was. But this class, 4 or 5 of us stuck together from A to E. That's the Second City 5-level program.
Yeah.
And because we had so much fun and love for each other, people would like magnetize in from those level B, level C. So by the end of E, we had like 10 of us that had been together for 3 levels. And we had almost the same teacher we requested from the first 2, Kate Ashby, who's a brilliant teacher in Toronto. So I was very blessed to like really discover the love of group mind and the play so early on in my improv journey. And then I got into the conservatory program and I auditioned for it. And at that point, when they said to me, you got in, I thought, well, that can't be right. Because when I try out for something, I don't get in. That's normally what happens. So when I got in, I felt, oh, this is interesting. This is something that doesn't normally happen for me, that actually get something.
Acceptance.
Yeah. So, and that is where I met Ken Hall. And so Ken Hall and I were in the same conservatory class. And that is a 6-level program at Second City that, if people don't know, that they gear you into a sketch show in the Second City style of sketch comedy. So first 2 levels are like improv, and then you go into an archive show, 3rd level, when I was doing it. And that's, that was my first time doing like theater, like monologues and scenes. And then you build a show, the final 2 levels, to perform a show in front of, friends and family.
Yeah, that's what my experience was like as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never did a scene with Ken Hall, which is an important thing too.
Wow.
Really?
That's so crazy to me.
For a year and a half, never did a scene together. We're not in a scene in the final show, except for when we got to drum together, which is something that we have in common, amongst many other things we found out. So,
were you 2 getting along though, despite not being really working directly with each other?
We became best friends. We became so tight during that conservatory experience. And during that conservatory experience, that was 06 to 07. Okay. Within con, I was doing like almost every night. I was doing improv. I was doing other classes, and I was on teams. And that was a big summer for me of 07, because it was in that summer that I thought, I think I really want to do this, whatever this is. This might be called acting, theater. I don't know what this is. I think I want to do this. So that was a huge switch for me. And it was in that summer as well, my mind was blowing. But at the same time, I started doing the Herald class through a Bad Dog Theater. And then I started doing what's called the, now defunct, but it's the Impatient Theater Company, ITC. And the ITC did a 5-week summer program in Toronto that was Chicago-based long form, which was in a different style from the Bad Dog version of the Herald at the time. So, but that was also very important in my journey, because that had teachers from Chicago that was brought in to teach at ITC. So I got people who loved Carrie Barrett, oh my God, Craig Kukowski, Bill, Bill Arnett, lovely Bill Arnett.
Oh yeah.
Arnett. And when I did like Carrie Barrett, who I saw in LA 2 years ago at an audition, insane, and we got to go in together. I love Carrie. And Carrie was our first level teacher. I'd never experienced anyone like Carrie. I don't know if Carrie will ever watch this. I hope she does, but thank you, Carrie. And then also, I have a feeling that Carrie has a big love for Susan Messing. And that's important because I met Susan later on, and Susan is like my godmother. I love Susan. Susan's one of the best improv teachers everybody will ever have, ever. So I got heavy into it. That Chicago style of long form was organic. It was group mind. It was vulnerability. It was like theater at the time. I didn't even realize what it was. And that set me on a big journey. I then went to the Melbourne Comedy Festival in 2008, and I performed a sketch show. And we didn't do. We spent a lot of money on that. We didn't make the money back. But that was my first ever comedy festival. And then 2009, I went to the Annoyance Theater Intensive in Chicago for a week. And that's when I fell in love with Chicago. And then in 2009, I went to the IO Intensive, Summer Intensive, 5 weeks. That's where I met Jet Eveleth, who changed my life in many big ways as well. And another guy as well I met was Todd Stashwick, who also changed my life. The brilliant things about Jet Eveleth and Todd Stashwick is that at the time...
Can I interject with just a quick question? Because
yeah, go for it.
I feel like Jet's going to be an introduction to that clown side of things,
yes.
As far as I know. But
yes.
I'm curious up until this point, because you've had this history in growing up in grade school with the physical performance and athletics pursuits, and then the musical performance and rhythm and whatnot. Once you find Second City and you're starting to perform and work with comedy, are you already, do you have high physicality in your performance style? Is that something that people are noticing or that you're noticing about yourself, is that you tend to be more physical as a player?
Great question. Yeah, right from the, I don't want to say get-go because, level A, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if any of us can, but I do remember moments and big characters, it was real big. And yes, to answer that question, yes, like as I got more and more into it, I guess about a year or so in, people would be like, commenting, "You're so physical." And then later on, I got to be careful. It's not ego, but people would say, "Wow, you're really physical. You're really physical, very physical performer." And that would be something that I had become known for. And for many, many years, I will say up until maybe 2017, I didn't really understand how I was physical. Like I don't
really. Yeah.
Like, and that
really
years at this point of like, you're so physical, you should teach physicality and had, but then also not really understanding like, well, I guess I am more than other people, but couldn't separate myself from, at times it was difficult to see myself from the way other people saw me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So jumping back to meeting people like Jet Eveleth and who was the other instructor that you said you met?
Todd Stashwick.
Okay, cool.
Stashwick. Now, I met them, like Todd, it was in 2008 at a 4-hour workshop, changed my life in Chicago. And then Jet was 2009 in IO Chicago. Now, these people at the time had never met. And incredibly enough, they speak about long form improv in the same way. In this amazing musicality, this energetic feeling of what improv and long form is, and what the show is, and what a scene is, and what a character, and the body, and this idea of what true play is, and group mind, and physicality, and how to isolate and be present on stage with the body and the shapes that we make up on, in space. And so Jet, especially, you know, I remember Jet. It was one of the nicest things everybody said to me. She said, "You are an amazingly physical performer. You're so incredibly flexible on stage. I love watching you perform." Something like that she said. And I was like, really? And I didn't even know. Jet, you know, Jet has, at that time already, she was one of the best. And still is. And she's so physical. She's so physical. You watch Jet on The Reckoning, any show she does, it's just incredible. I mean, not only she's blessed with that, you know, she's like yoga, like she's just, you can't, you know, what do they call it? Like not a ventriloquist. Come on, Bob.
Acrobat? What are you saying?
Contortionist. Like just incredibly.
Oh, I was thinking that. I just didn't want to say it.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. It was in a high pitch. That's why you couldn't hear it.
I wanted to watch your journey. That's what I'm here for. I mean.
So, yeah. So, it changed my life. And that IO intensive was incredible. The Annoyance intensive the year before for a week also changed my life. That's when I met Susan Messing and Mark Sutton and Joe Bill, whose birthday was yesterday at this point. Well, yep. And that was important too, because this energy I left after 5 days at the Annoyance changed me who I was as a performer. They do say you get so full of the Annoyance energy, you kind of have to let it sit and dissipate, and you take on, you know, what works for you. Also around this time, 08, 09 was when I got put onto a Herald team at the ITC, and it was called Standards and Practices. Now, at the time, it was like 10 or 12 people, and slowly, you know, people left and things happened, and we were performing weekly until it came down to the four of us, Matt Folliott, Cameron Algie, Kevin Whalen, and myself. And we had known for a while that was the core four. And that became, you know, one of the reasons that it's one of those things. I love Michael Jordan so much. And Michael Jordan would always play with people in their 40s when he was growing up, because he always played against people who were way better than him. So with those guys, it was like I was always playing with people who were better than me, because they're so talented and our group mind was so tight. And I, for the first time, was allowed to do the things. They made me look good, and I could be even bigger than I was and physical and out, you know, and they would make everything look beautiful.
You have this amazing safety net when you are playing with people that much more experienced than you, or like you said, playing with people that you feel are better than you. Is you're like, well, I can swing for the fences when I'm doing this and go through a lot of, especially if you're sitting on that Annoyance energy and you're like, I gotta release this and kind of find my way, and but do it with a team in a setting that's not going to damage relationships or create tension. I imagine that is a great way to let out a lot of that playing style and grow with a team like that.
Huge. And that team too, you know, even when we had more people, we had a real important, no offense here, come to Jesus meeting. Because sorry, Bob.
I'm so mad right now. So mad.
It was really, really beautiful meeting we had. We had a lot of issues with the coach, one of the players, the guy who runs the company, blah, blah, blah. Where we had this beautiful meeting where we went around the table and said to everybody, like 10 people, like, what do you want for yourself? You know, what can we do for you as a team? What do you want more on stage from yourself and from the team? We went around and, you know, we all heard each other out. And then the next show is goddamn amazing, where everybody was given everything they wanted. I wanted to fly more, you know, so they picked me up at the end of the show and they all raised me and I was flying in the air. It was so much joy. It was incredible. And, you know, Cameron, we have a lovely, because Cameron said, yeah, I just don't want to do what I'm doing. So I just want to be new Cameron from now on. And so we go, okay, well, new Cam. So he just changed and started doing whatever it is he wanted to do differently from that.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
He just said, yeah, I don't like what I'm doing, so I just want to be new Cam. And I'm like,
can I ask, did you notice the difference between old Cam and new Cam?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I just had this thought, like, I'm new Cam, like, I don't see the difference.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh no, freedom, man. When you allow somebody
Yeah.
freedom, it's a beautiful thing, and that freedom ties into the clown as well. So you guys stopped me, which you are doing, which is great, because this is all kind of it ties in at the same.
Well, let me just do a real quick note on
please.
that. If there is a window to chime in,
There's always a window.
because I really do love that declaration of I want to be the new me. Very brief nutshell is that like I moved around a lot growing up, and so one of the benefits that I got against the cons of not being able to stay with my friends in school systems is that I got to kind of reinvent myself every couple of years moving, and that taught me how valuable it is to be given a fresh impression to build with new people. And in improv, when you're working with teams, especially if you're developing out of classes or in a conservatory program or a first like featured team, you can get stuck in these habits of the old performer that used to be whatever style you are before you learn things. And so I just love the idea of having that kind of meeting where you're like, I'm done. I want a fresh slate to be totally different, and that kind of freedom does enable a huge leap forward for people if that permission is granted and it's authentic. That's very cool. I just wanted to kind of point that out. I think it's a conversation that troops can really have, especially if they're groups that started as a student group or like a first run house team. It's like check in every once in a while and be like, what kind of things do you want to shake off and what kind of fresh start do you need to keep growing?
100%. It'll reignite a spark. It just build a new house. It's just starting fresh. We can always start over. You know what I mean? Especially during this quarantine.
Yeah.
I listen, it's a really challenging emotional time for me. And, I have to remember that too. It's every day, every moment, you can be a different person. You can be new.
Yeah.
You can shed all the stress and the trauma if you wish. And it's tough, but it takes a challenging thing. And I was blessed to, in that Australia trip in 2008, first time traveling by myself for 4.5 months. And I discovered what you said, James, for myself in 2008, which was nobody knows me here. And I literally stood differently and I walked around differently and I held myself in a different way. And I could reinvent myself every single, invent myself into a new being. And that does tie into the physical theater clown stuff later on, which is the essence of clown and physical theater, really. So 2009 was very big for me as well, because that's when Ken Hall and I did our first show together at the Toronto Fringe, and we called ourselves Two Man No Show, and it did very well. It was, at the time, we thought it was sketch comedy. It was actually more clown than sketch comedy. Of course, more sketch than clown, but it was a very clown show. Our director, Mark Andrada, is a great clown and director. And also my dad is a very funny guy, helped us put that show together. And,
oh, really?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, my dad was a big reason why that show got the way it is. So we're very grateful to him.
Cool.
So, a little, I won't go too long. Ken and I, he's, best friend, comedy partner, Two Man No Show. We did that 2009 show. And then we, what I love about Ken, and this is something for everybody who's improv, Ken was always just saying yes to everything. Ken will always, I said, hey, you did really well. Do you want to tour the show? He's like, yeah, okay. And he had a job. And he always said, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's go to this festival. Do you want to go to this festival? Sure, okay, let's do it. And that's what he is on stage too. He's always just, yeah, okay, let's go. Let's do this thing. Let's just follow it. Let's follow the energy, follow the fun. And we, anyways, since 2009, we've done, I don't know, man, 46 festivals, improv and sketch. We wrote three full-length shows that we've toured. We went to Edinburgh, and we did a lot. In 2010, I think we did 80 shows or something.
Wow.
Hour-long sketch shows in 2010. We did a crazy tour.
So what is the first time you two get together to do a show?
Yeah.
What does it look like? Is it, you said it's kind of like clown meets sketch. Is it scripted, or is it kind of like beats of routines and segments to the show that you just kind of play through what's the format or the kind of mission statement of the show the first time you guys do it?
I will answer that question. I did want to tell you guys that I do believe I also have the very first time we did an improv set on film.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think I have
really?
because we called ourselves Two Man No Show. I think it was the summer of '09. So I think it was like during Fringe or right before we wanted to promote, but we hadn't even finished our show yet. And it was a friend's birthday show. And I have like a 20-minute set that I think 20-minute improv set together. And it's so fucking stupid and crazy. Like it's not good. It's not bad either though. I mean, we were samurai. I don't know if it's a little, can't do that anymore, but
It's incriminating.
Yeah.
He cut me.
Now I'm offended.
Now we can't do it. It's samurai. And I like did one of those like anime, like Samurai Showdown where like, and then like the head came this way and the body goes that way and the head drops down. And it's kind of, so, I thought it was fun. Anyways, the very first show, James, we had a smattering of ideas and we had 6 weeks before we opened our opening night, we had no show. That's why we call ourselves Two Man No Show. And my dad sat us down like 3 weeks before, maybe 2 weeks. It was like, okay, we got to get something on paper. What do you have? And we had a big flip chart. We started writing and he's like, yeah, I like that idea. That's going to go there. And I said, well, I got this Jurassic Park date thing I did in Australia. Yeah, you're putting that in the show. We're doing that. It's like, okay.
Really quick. Does your dad have a theater background or he's just being helpful?
No theater background. My dad is a brilliant, creatively brilliant. So he, for over 30 years, made jingles. He did radio commercials. So he wrote and directed and did voiceover. So I was blessed to be in the studio a lot and watch him work and direct and do voiceover, radio and TV commercials. He's funniest guy I've ever met. And grew up with Marx Brothers. Only showed us the Marx Brothers, never Abbott and Costello. Marx Brothers, Looney Tunes, not Disney. So he really showed us the kind of comedy he liked. And so I was raised.
That's awesome.
I was raised in cartoon and that world. And I think, when you have no friends and you get bullied and you go into the world of video games and animation, I've been thinking about it, that's where my imagination goes to a lot of the things. When I visualize something that I want to do or what it looks like, I go to a world that isn't real. I go to an imaginary world that can bend reality because it's a cartoon. It's animation. That's what I think is the funniest. And the fucking timing. Oh, the timing in Looney Tunes. Mind the timing? You know what I mean?
Man.
I'm over a cliff. Damn, I didn't get it. I'm looking around and then you look down and then you look up and it's like, and then you fall. You know what I mean? It's just brilliant comedy. I think Looney Tunes should be required viewing for everybody. Oh my God.
Agree.
Absolutely.
Agree.
My dad, brilliant director's eye, but never did theater. He actually helped get people. He grew up in Hamilton. I don't know. Man, I don't know. I guess Ferndale is maybe the Hamilton of Toronto or something like that. If it's 45-minute drive from Toronto. It's a steel town. It's working class, and so many famous people came from Hamilton. We got Eugene Levy, Paul Schaefer. I think Martin Short's from there. Dave Thomas. So a lot of these people, my dad, helped out on SCTV, which was where Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, and John Candy, these guys. So he knew.
So it's like Toronto commuter town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's also its own. You would just live in Hamilton. That's where you're from, and it's a real something about it. A lot of people came from Hamilton.
Cool.
My dad.
Yeah. So so your dad's working with you. So I sorry, just to kind of swing it back to your Two Man No Show first run. He's helping you out, and you said he was working with you on the flip pad of let's get some stuff on paper. And then you got something. You said you pulled something from a Jurassic Park bit that you did from the
Australia.
Australia show.
Yeah.
And that's a formal script or like a fully written thing. And are you also including things that are like here? It's just like it's a premise and a beginning, middle, end. Like
Giving
what
yourself
kind of
a green light here and there.
Yeah.
Well, my friend Jenny Cerwillo, who I hope watches, I love you, Jenny. Jenny was in the Australia show with us. When I was in Cannes, Second City, I pitched this idea of a guy doing Jurassic Park, like the whole movie in a very short amount of time. And my teacher said, that would be funny in a one-panel cartoon. So I didn't get many ideas into that con show. But my brilliant friend, Jenny, I told her that as we're writing this show in a month for Australia, she said, oh, that's so funny. I'll write the sketch. So what she presented was a piece of paper that she typed out that said, like, we're going on a date. And it's like, hi, my name's Jenny. Hi, my name's Isaac. Tell me about yourself. Okay, I love, like, what's your favorite movie? And I go, it's Jurassic Park. She goes, oh, tell me about it. And then she has an asterisk, and then it says, Isaac does Jurassic Park, and then asterisk. And then it goes, wow, I didn't know, blah, 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 whatever. Like, we'll change it. And that was like, oh, is that a sketch? Okay, I can do that. So that's what the sketch is. So the sketch is...
Okay, cool.
And then Ken and I, to answer your question properly, it's no. The show was never written.
Okay.
When we started touring without our director, Mark, it was very difficult and the show changed. And we went through a lot of stress and challenges with the show on tour because the show truly was a clown show. And to me, what that means in this sense is that it was never written down. We knew our beats. I later learned, like in Commedia dell'arte, they're called there's something called lazzis. Like a lazzi is a comedic beat that you hit. So we had these beats. We had the order of the show. Mark is a brilliant tech guy. I don't know. He has probably a degree in tech or something. He's a master. So he would follow us. He would cue sounds. He put the music and the lights. He knew what had to happen. We knew the beats we had to hit. Things can change within it. We can improvise. We can feel the moment. We can play with something and let it go a bit if we need to with the audience, listen to what the audience wants. But we know the beats of the show. We even got so far as we ran it for the first time the night before we opened, and we were 10 minutes short. We had like a 40-minute show. So we thought of the idea like, well, why don't we pretend that we had mics on, leave the stage. We've already done our multiple bows, and then we go on actual mics on the side and just start chatting from behind the curtain, breathing really heavy, being like, great show, man. Yeah, you too. Oh man, you see that? Like, man, she's pretty hot in the first. You see that girl? Like, so we're just saying stuff, and some people that was a favorite part because the show would never end. They just didn't know if they could leave or not. One guy got mad at us and said, like, he stood up and said, "You can leave. The show's over. You're allowed to go." So, James, to answer your question, we never wrote the show down, and it was very difficult.
That's awesome.
After the summer of 2009,
Wow.
toured because I had to write. Touring is very hard. My heart goes out to everybody who's toured. It's a very difficult thing, and the first time for Ken and I, Ken had a job, so I had to tech the show without him sometimes. I had to give it to tech people who weren't our directors, so I had to write our show down, and the show changed because once you start putting in somebody following a direction, they're not truly playing with us, and Mark was a third performer in the show. And, it's a big thing. So really it's like, well, how do you create a show that allows that kind of fluidity? Maybe the answer is the director they got to come with you. They got to be the person, maybe. And that's hard. It's a lot of money, an extra person, so if that answers your question, that's
I was curious to know like to what degree it was written and because that seems like from the outset that you two were intending to do something more free form or open ended with some structure, but like you said, so you didn't realize at the time that the connection to the format that you were using and clown, really. When was it that you started to kind of identify things that you were doing as clown and more leaning into it intentionally? Okay,
so that is that right before '09, that was '08 where I met Todd Stashwick, and that's where Todd Stashwick came in. Todd Stashwick talked about the clown. He talked about, he has a great clown background. He began to speak about the clown and physicality. And then when I met Jet Eveleth in '09, which was directly after Ken and I performed for the first time, I met Jet, and Jet started speaking about clown and this world of physical theater. So those were like, they got injected in here, and they were now percolating, being like, okay, what's that mean? I always thought it was like, honk honk, circus clown kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what most people think.
Well, most people think, right?
Yeah.
I think I have a whole nother chat we could have on another time. Little side note, Ken and I performed the Sarasota Improv Festival, run by Will Luera, love Will, last summer, and it was incredible. We got to go to the Barnum, the Ringling Brothers Circus Museum, because in Sarasota is where they would train during the winter. And I got sucked into a worm, like an hour, 45 minutes of reading and taking photos of this timeline they had in the museum of the history of circus clown in America. And that's a whole other conversation, because that is like, the circus is the heart of North American entertainment. Before TV, it was the circus. That's where everything started, before even like the beginnings of vaudeville, and everything comes from the circus.
No, pro wrestling, it's really all that
everything,
stuff.
man.
Yeah.
And then like being in the round and being with the audience and looking out into the audience. When I did study with Philippe Gaulier, who I'll get to in a moment, he would talk about the British guy who started the clown. And then I read it on the timeline. I'm like, oh my God, my mind is being blown here. So I'll get to this. So it was Jet is a big reason, because I just have to preface this, because what happened with Jet is that I love Jet so much that I said to her, my friend Rob Chodas and I, we said, hey, can we bring you to Toronto and teach a workshop? She said, yeah, of course. So we brought Jet to teach a weekend workshop, blew everybody's mind. Since then, I produced 14 workshops, I think, 14 workshops in like 4 years. And we brought up people from Chicago, like Dave Rosowski and Greg Hess from Cook County, who are maybe the best improv group in the world, one of the best. And through another theater, TJ and Dave came up, and Todd again. When I got to the end of, I don't know, maybe the 9th workshop, I felt I can't keep doing improv. It's going to sound bad, but like, I can't learn any more improv. I've learned everything I need from improv. I've studied with so many of the most amazing performers and teachers. There's something I'm missing. And I spoke to Jet, and Jet said, well, you need to study with Audrey Francis from the Black Box Academy in Chicago. And you got to study with another one of my mentors, Paola Coletto, who's an Italian lady from Chicago as well. And I actually emailed both of them. They both responded and said, yeah, we'd love to come up, which was amazing. And they also shared the same studio space in Chicago and passed each other in the hallway, and found out they were coming up a month apart. And Audrey was incredible, Meisner viewpoints. Paola really changed my life. Paola Coletto is one of the best teachers on earth. She teaches the Lecoq pedagogy. So Jacques Lecoq is now, we're getting really into the heart of clown right now in physical theater. The Lecoq pedagogy from Jacques Lecoq is probably like the preeminent, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but it is probably the most well-regarded physical theater school on earth from Paris. And this guy, Jacques Lecoq, he was a tyrant. He was a real tyrant. He did not like women. He followed something called via negativa, which is the way of negativity. So you're just hit hard, you're shamed, you're just belittled in this class and performance, but also a brilliant guy and changed the world of theater. He brought in mime from the work of Jacques Copeau and Marcel Marceau, and he brought in the world of mask. And mask is where a lot of things changed. And I'm interested in talking to you guys. So I was asked to do a talk about this, and I'm putting it off because I want to really get more of the history behind it. So I don't really have that yet. However, what I think I've learned is Lecoq went out. He was a student and actor. He said, I need to something more. He went out into the fields of Italy or France with this guy Sartori. And they would look at farmers in the field, and they'd have these manuscripts from maybe the 1500s, 1600s that showed paintings and drawings of Commedia dell'arte. Now, Commedia dell'arte was like the church. Thank you, church. They said, no, that's actually it's bad. It's the devil's work. So we're going to remove all history of Commedia dell'arte. So all they had were drawings of the characters of Commedia dell'arte. Now, as you guys have heard before, improvisation, as we know it, stems from Commedia dell'arte, because that was almost there's Greek theater, and then there was Commedia dell'arte, which was this so much improvisation. You knew the physicality of the, I kind of want to get up and do like dottore, and like pantalone, and there's these certain physical movements that you would study to lock into that physicality, to become the character. And they had a mask. They'd wear a mask with it'd be very specific to the character. So that this is who that character is. Capitano always has his chest out, and he's always, big and brash, and he's stupid. He always thinks he's the hero, but he's really the coward. And so this idea of physicality in the body and where to put tension, and intention, and how to play is, I would imagine, the beginnings of theatricality, character, improvisation, animation. You look at animation, You look at Popeye, you look at Bluto, you look at Mickey Mouse, you look at the way they move and the way and it's very Commedia dell'arte. So,
yeah. I was going to say that it's kind of a little bit like, I was going to kind of draw an analogy to modernize it a little bit of Looney Tunes, being like, you have these stock characters in Commedia where, like you said, they're archetypes, or they're templates of character, and they have certain attributes that you're trying to mimic. And so it would be like, can I play a good Bugs Bunny, and what do I need to do to play Bugs Bunny's mannerisms, and can I put that character in any scenario to have these like sketches and routines, but in Commedia, it's also that they're not scripted, right? They have scenarios,
yep.
And like you said, beats, Lazzi, is that it?
Lazzi, yeah,
that are maybe the checkpoints of the routine, but otherwise you're kind of just milking the space between point A and point B, and making sure that you hit point A and point B for consistency of what works. And everything in between is, can we riff with the energy in the room or the energy of the audience using this template of a character to mess around with?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very well put. Very well put. And I think that is, it was so impactful to all of theater, because, and what Lecoq did is that I think they were looking at the drawings, and they went onto the fields, and they watched the farmers move and how they hold their bodies, and the workers of the people who you would have been inspired from 500 years ago. And developed, Sartori was, and him and his son were the mask makers in the world, and they would recreate the mask. So on top of this, Lecoq and Sartori developed what's called the neutral mask. Now, the neutral mask is a very important thing, which I'll get to in a moment. So Paola changed my life, because Paola came to Toronto, taught a weekend workshop. I brought her up 4 years in a row to teach a workshop. And Paola studied with Lecoq in the third year, which is the pedagogical year. So like you learn to become a teacher by being next to the teacher. And then he died the following year. So she was in the last class to ever study with Lecoq. And she developed herself into being an incredible teacher, brilliant person, beautiful lady. And she comes at you with the neutral mask, with the presence of the mask, and she takes you on this journey of the mask, as they call it. And that was my first foray into true European physical theater and mask work. And that is the beginning of clown. Because what Lecoq also did is he was the first guy to use the red nose as a pedagogical tool. He was the guy that said, oh, look at this red nose. If we put it on, it strips away all these masks. It makes us, our child, the beautiful child, the innocent comes out, and we see who we are underneath it all. What people may not know is that that's also like the hardest mask to play, and it's the last mask. It's almost
the red nose.
Yeah, like you do it at like the second year of a 2-year program. Like it's tough. You don't.
Yeah, because so. Okay, so I just want to kind of sum up a little bit about Lecoq, and correct me if I'm wrong, Isaac, because you're going to end up being more familiar. But one, I would be. I think we should point out that Lecoq also had a background in athletics and an interest in physical movement through sports movement. I'm pretty sure, which is interesting to me that that's part of your background too. And then
I think you're right. He would have had to. This is the thing. I really got to look into him because you're right. Because it's so fascinating, right? Like, I thank you for letting me talk about my background because that's like, where do people really come from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where did he come from?
That's the interesting part.
Like, where did he come from? For the guy to be like, I want to do this. It's like, he's got to come from somewhere, dude.
Well, isn't that the most interesting like superhero story? Like the origins? Fuck. Like,
100%.
let's get into it, man.
100%.
Yeah, well, kind of anti-hero too, because he also reminds me the way you were talking about him of Del Close, who's got put up on a pedestal, but also has the ugly side of
before class. Who brought drugs?
Yeah.
If you do have drugs,
but
share.
Isn't it crazy though? Like Del Close and Philippe Gaulier and Lecoq, like they really changed. Really changed. You can hate them as much as you want, but man, they gave us something pretty special too, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think that the Holy Grail is kind of like can we do that without the side effects of those kind of personalities?
Yes.
But so
talking about the drug use. It's like
the answer is
can
no.
we do drugs without side effects? Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't have modern psychology without Coke. So damn.
Can we just restart the episode? Because I'll just
let's bring it back.
Well, actually, guys, I do. It's heroin, really. It's all heroin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Heroin and cocaine.
I just wanted to point that out about Lecoq, and then also kind of sum up the neutral mask thing is that he has a school of teaching that it involves mask work, and that neutral mask is about kind of stripping things down to a very basic form of existence and moving through moments and doing almost as little as possible to just be and finding your version of that with neutral mask. Is that somewhat in line or close to what the idea with neutral mask is just like, how can you get down to basic being as you?
100%. You got
it. Okay. So then starting with neutral mask, there's a progression of masks. And then you were talking about the red nose, which is after you go through all these different masks and the types of character or personality or different energies behind these masks, you start to strip down the mask to the red nose, which existed before Lecoq, but the way he's using it is like it's the smallest form of a mask, and most of what's happening is you, but we've now boiled it down to just this one spot on you that is still the mask, so that you are in that mode of play and of clown.
Yes.
Correct me on where I'm missing the target here.
No, you're not missing any targets. It's and I'm not even. I wish I could remember word for word what all of my teachers have taught me.
It's something along those lines, though. I just kind of wanted to point out the arc as you were starting to crack into it, because we're starting to get a little deeper in the weeds on the clown stuff. So,
and if I may, if we can just go on Lecoq pedagogy for a moment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a very fascinating journey of the mask. Because as you said, correct, the neutral mask is the beginning. That's where you start. You look it up. There's really only one. There's like a male, female version of it, kind of. But it's just two rectangular slits and one here. And it strips away everything. It's neutral. There's no expression. And as you said, yes, exactly. We are left with just the body on stage. Now, without the mask on, the work in Lecoq pedagogy and all this stuff is, like you said, like athletic. It's sport. And it is incredibly, they don't call it, they call it training. And that blew my mind because this is training. This isn't I'm going to improv class. No offense to anyone who calls it improv class, but you're learning training. And training, in my opinion, means something that you do and that you have to keep doing. You can't just do it and let it go. Of course, you retain, but you have to train. You know, I'm watching The Last Dance, which is, you know, brilliant with the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. But I love Michael Jordan, like I mentioned, and he is one of my idols. And like anything, I mean, once he got to the NBA, he doesn't have to shoot 1,000 shots a day. He's already done that. He's already done 1,000 shots a day. Now he just has to go before, the game. I want to say the show. He has to just get the rhythm in. He has to feel it out, certain things, and he's into it. And I think this is a lot about the physical theater training. It's tough because you got to train your body. You got to really actually literally change your body. It's not about what your size is. It's about understanding what your body can do in space. And that's a huge part of it, is that your presence in space is what the foundation of a lot of Lecoq pedagogy and mask work is, because we are theater performers. We enter a space and all we have is our body, what you see on stage. And we have to learn how to utilize that. We have to learn the power and the unknown connection that an audience has to a performer through the breath, you know, just everything. And this is why it's called devised theater. When you go to Lecoq to study, when you go to Gaulier to study, you become, what I love is what they say, you leave and you're a theater creator. You don't leave acting school, you know. You become a theater creator. And what blew my mind is when I discovered about Lecoq and Paola and Philippe Gaulier, I started to meet people who had graduated from the programs. Whenever I saw that theater and them perform, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I watched a different level of performance than I'd ever seen from anybody in improv as well.
I'm down to keep talking about this as long as you guys are.
I told you, I talk a lot.
We're just starting to get into like, but should we take a break to do anything right now? Because I actually didn't get to go to the bathroom before we started.
You said, James said, I'm leaving to go pee. He said he was ready. Then he said, I actually have to go pee. Did you pee?
No. Colin was in the shower, but do you guys want to take type 5 and come back?
I'll pee, yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and that's going to be part 1 of our conversation with Isaac, and we'll come back for part 2 to continue digging deeper into the world of clown and Isaac's style of play and his story.